This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. La, da, da, da. And now, oh, hey, look. This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. La, da, da, da. All right, so I obviously have to mute my YouTube. But at least we're working.
Yeah.
And that is beautiful because the last time I did a live stream, it was with Arwen Lynch Poe, and we were chatting about the two different Cirque du Tarot decks. The one created by 78 artists a while back, and the one created by Lisa Robertson, really recently. And she and I had such fantastic banter and all this back and forth, and it was audio only. I completely forgot to hit the button that flipped it over to video.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know, right? So, friends, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in live or watching this video. My name is Kate Mura with grouptarot.com, and I am so flipping excited to have the Tarot BFF joining me today with redlightreadings.com. And we're going to be talking about some of our favorite decks. Which are the ones that you brought with you today, V?
Oh, I brought my favorites, starting with the Erotic Tarot. I have been looking for a tarot deck that was sensual and diverse, and this one gets a little spicy, so I'm not mad at it. I found a lot of Renaissance raunch in the erotic side of tarot, but this one here, it hits all the bases for me. So bringing that to the table today.
I love skimming through that in Springfield Castle. I think it was the Three of Wands. That was the first one that came up for me, and I looked at it and I'm like, oh, well, this happens to be some of my favorite things.
Absolutely. It's this wonderful, it's a pips deck. And I'm really not drawn to pips decks. I like to see imagery on all cards. But the majors definitely make up for the lack thereof. They're the King of Feathers by chance. And so we have this wonderful scene.
Yeah, we do.
The swords here. And so, but also on top of this, I love that he is in a chair. So there's differently abled individuals in this deck, as well as diverse, racially diverse, ethnically diverse, gender diverse. It's just, they click all the buttons. So, and it's sassy. It is so yum.
And I love how the color of the butterflies is also the color of the sub's hair. I don't know. There's something really lovely about that whole circle.
Yes, it's that whole transformation of what the sub is going through. It just, it's just delicious. Delicious is the best word that I can give this deck.
Hearing you say that it's a pips deck makes me think that the card that I pulled out was not, in fact, the Three of Rods, then, because there was definitely a scene that I was looking at. It was not pips, but I'll apparently have to get my own copy of it. And
it is. It doesn't really have an author. It's by a company. Magma for Lawrence King, lawrenceking.com, and then the illustrator is Sophie Birkin. So it's not really it's a mainstream deck, but it doesn't like have an author, so to speak.
Yeah.
So But no, this deck is really the feathers, once again, are swords. We have like these, feathers. Some of them look like feather dusters. The roses here are for the pentacles, that grounding energy, green background. The candles are the wands for that fire element. And then the shells are the cups and that whole water element. So, I mean, you really get into this deck, and like I said, there's just so much imagery. The Ace of Shells, yes. Ace of Cups, just
just so gentle, so
it
gentle.
It's just gentle,
just that nice.
Just like, yeah, with aces, it's like the beginning. Like, we don't just run into things, right? It's just with
no, you gotta like take the first steps. Like, feel it out first, especially the cups.
Make friends with it first, just
yes. I love it.
But I'm trying to find do you remember the scene that was on the card by chance?
I remember it was a threesome.
Okay.
I remember that there were two figures in more upright positions, and one, yes, that one.
The Queen of Cups.
Wait. Nope. It was not that one, but it is similar. It is very similar.
Okay.
It is less nurturing in feel and more active.
Nope. There may be more. Let me continue to flip through.
No, because the person who was closest in the foreground was in a more supine position. Well, it might have been all fours. It might have been cowgirl. That one. That one. Yes. The Page of Handles.
There we go.
That was it.
That's the one. That'll do it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. I love that. I love that. For people who are watching and interested in purchasing most of these decks, I will put links to, if I can put a link to it in the description box, I absolutely will. I have a bookshop affiliate link. And so if you use that, I may get a commission. If you don't use that, please buy directly from the artist. And honestly, do that first anyway. Like, go to the artists first. That's always the best way, in my not at all humble opinion as an artist. The deck that I wanted to start off sharing with y'all is Tarot of the She by Emily Carding. And I 100% wanted to share this one, not only because it's a deck I love and I have yet to review it here, but also because V and I were initially going to be talking about this in Ireland, and the She are of Ireland. So it was kind of appropriate, and it just also happened to have some really lovely rhyming in Tarot of the She and V. Similar to the Erotic Tarot, this one also does some things a little differently. Maker is the suit of pentacles, and maybe some of those standing stone circles that you and I were in, V, were helped raise in this sort of magical fashion. Dreamers are air.
Ooh, love that. Love that.
This one, Dreamer 9, which for anyone who's watching who is visually, who wants a little extra description, this has a large glowing orb in the background that's a little on the more golden side of moons, with a skeletal hand over it and little droplets coming out of the fingers. And the moon has 1, 2, 3 corona layers around it, one of red, one of purple. And there is our she lying, or fairy lying supine, just the head, so that the nose is being dripped on by the fingers. And she has and the fae has these scratches across the cheek. No gender is assumed or presumed in it. And the card is named Nightmare. And this card actually came up for me in Ireland when I was asking about not being able, because I got sick, I wasn't able to actually go and do my pilgrimage to Queen Maeve's grave like I wanted to. And this was the card that came up, because she was telling me, it is all in your mind, that all of the fears that you have about not fulfilling this promise to me of coming back and making this pilgrimage on your next visit, that's all a product of your own brain.
Yeah.
I never demanded that of you. I did not demand it of you. I did not accept any sort of blood promise or blood oath from you. Ideas and life changes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Arwen.
Hey, Arwen.
Yeah, so we were in the we were in the wrong window when you and I were chatting. That is very true.
Quick question about that card.
Yeah.
Is the hand like coming from her lips?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because that just makes me feel like, those are also the quote unquote, I want to say lies that we tell ourselves, the things that we believe, and we begin to tell ourselves, and that's how the nightmare begins.
Yes.
Because as soon as we think it, and then some part of it is uttered, then it's just like this thing that becomes real, right?
Yeah. It's the psychology. It's the psychology behind the big lie. You repeat something often enough, even if it's a lie, and people start to believe it. And we say that about ourselves too. Like what's one of my early teachers used to say, change your thoughts, change your words, change your actions, change your actions, change the world. But it all begins with your thoughts.
Yes.
And I come back to that saying, all the flipping time.
Yep. Because if you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Exactly. In this deck, warriors are rods, and dancers are cups.
So the dancers, they just remind me of you in Ireland. Like your energy, your spirit, you guys, if you saw Kate there, oh my gosh, it was my first time meeting her in person. And I was just like, who is this woman? There was so much light and so much energy and so much freedom just about who you are and how you express and how you talk. And I was just completely floored and enamored at the same time. Like, how is she just this free? Like, how does this work? Like, what does she do? You're just so fluid between all of the things, just kind of. And it was just amazing just to watch you be you, in that space. Of course, I didn't say this to her there, but yeah, just watching you be you in that space, it reminds me of water. It reminds me of just fluidity and just going with the groove of things and just flowing. Beautiful. Absolutely.
Hey. you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Words are failing me, but yeah, thank you very much.
You just received.
So this is Emily Carding kept the major arcanas pretty similar to, although she did change some of them up, like instead of the devil, we have Pan here. This one is for all the ecosexuals in the house. And hey, look, it's a little of what we were doing at in Ireland as well.
Yes. Oh.
V, while in Ireland, had this phenomenal photo shoot done. And if you do not follow her on Instagram, do at the end of this, or if your devices are smart enough to do things concurrently, hop on over and follow the Tarot BFF Red Light Readings on Instagram, because these pictures, one of the ancient queens of Ireland returned to her castle and opened up these gates. It was like, I am here. And we were like, yes, you are. So good. And I love that you also incorporated one of your favorite decks into the photo shoots. The Modern Witch by Lisa Sterl.
I love. First off, I just want to say yes. I bought this deck solely off of this magician. You know, I'm really big on finding just as many diverse decks as I can, because I like to see me in my readings, you know. And so when I saw her, I was just like, oh yeah. And magician's my birth card. I'm a 1910 girl. And at any given day, I wear my hair in space buns. So I'm like, this is me. I can see myself here. But it has definitely hands down become my working deck for work and clients. And here's a little known secret. I have ADD when it comes to decks. And I know when I love a deck because my edges start to brown and start to wear. That means that I use it frequently. So when I started to see it, I'm like, oh, this is a favorite.
I completely know what you mean. It's not my very first deck, but it is the deck that I bought because I was going to start giving public readings. And it is still one of my working decks to this day, over 20 years later.
Yep. So the one reason I don't think that this one has so much of a bend or wear is the cards are really thick, which is I love too.
Oh my gosh, this card stock, like even though my Modern Witch Tarot is much shinier on the sides than yours is, I use this one a good deal, but like, like there's like no flex,
no give
cards. I also think that I haven't had this deck for very long. This was gifted to me by my brother of spirit a couple years ago.
Okay.
No, it wasn't even that long ago. Over a year ago, less than 3 years ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I also love this deck. And I love that there are different body shapes and sizes. I can't remember off the top of my head. Does this deck have different abilities in it?
I don't think so. I don't recall seeing differently abled in this one.
I love the wise fool for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the seven of Pentacles in that deck, where it's an individual in a chair watching an orchard. One of my favorites in Modern Witch is the High Priestess. Every time I see this, I just see Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, I can see
like,
that.
Hello, Kamala. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the reading here
Kamala
today.
has entered the chat.
Kamala has entered the chat. May you heal well from COVID, my friend.
Oh, yes.
Heal well.
Yeah, it's the modern, of course, it's the modern take that when I do read for my BFFs, my clients, number one, it's important that you can see yourself. Like when clients can see themselves, exactly. When you can see yourself in a card, it brings a little more, the message a little more to your home, to heart, you know? And it's like, yeah, I've had that situation. Yeah, I've had that. I've done that. That's how I feel. You know, my favorite is the Four of Cups, and her sweatshirt says over it. Like we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been in that place where you're just like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm stuck and I'm just over it. And I'm like, I totally understand.
Yep.
I just saw it here. Oh, there it is.
Which one are you looking for?
The Four of Cups. I just had it out. That's what happens when you reshuffle, put stuff back in.
Found the Four of Wands.
Oh,
yes.
Just over it. But
yeah, just over it.
Yeah. So
I love that the knights in this deck are completely gender fluid. Yes. And that a lot of the royals, even though Lisa chose to keep king and queen with their gendered names, the bodies that go along with that really do a great job of showing that all of those energies are in all of our different bodies and all of our sex gender combinations. And
totally agree.
In your photo shoot, were you holding up the Empress or were you holding up the Queen of Pentacles?
Queen of Pentacles. Yeah. I am a full-on Earth girl, Taurus, Virgo rising, Capricorn moon. So I just thought that it was I can't escape it. And yeah. So
well, and especially in this deck and in real life, it is just quite obviously 100% you.
It makes me want to get a rabbit.
Here it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is you. Like it is you. It is all things you.
And the one thing that I can say, being back from Ireland, and it's so funny because being an Earth girl, and people were just like, oh my gosh, do you cook? Do you did it? I'm like, no, I'm not a big cooker. I'm not that kind of, like, do you like to be outside? And I'm like, But since coming back, like, I want to be outside all the time, like feeding the grass, staring at trees, looking at clouds. I never had that feeling before Ireland.
Do you have a lot of good parks and natural areas to go to where you're at in Detroit?
I do, and it's interesting. I just moved to my husband and I got married about almost 2 years ago, and I moved into his neighborhood, and there's a wonderful park, like maybe 3 blocks down, and trees and grass, and like there's a swing set play thing. They flood the grass during when it's cold for like an ice skating or like a makeshift ice skating rink. And so this summer I plan to take my hoops and invite some folks and just hoop in the grass barefoot under the trees and just be. Yes. Yes.
One of my favorite moments with you and I in Ireland outside of your photo shoot, which was its own like
everything
marvelousness, was our little bit of circus arts on the beach.
Yes. Yes.
Some full moon hooping and some full moon practice poi, because I don't know that. I light up in other ways, but not with the fire. Maybe one of these days, Jamie Elford and I will get together and I'll let her light me up for the first time if she thinks that I won't,
just tie your hair back. That's all.
Oh, my hair will be back. It'll probably be up in some sort of babushka, and all of my Polish ancestors will be like, "Yes, you are that good. Don't catch that on fire. No."
Yes, catching your poi, and like you were off guard, and I'm just taping it. And you're like, "Oh, I'm like." That was the best. It was so impromptu.
So impromptu. That was a good night.
Yeah.
That beach was amazing. And
it got so dark so fast. Just all of a sudden it was like light. And then like somebody just like flipped the switch. It was off.
Yep. And it was like that every night there, because I stayed on at the same B&B for a few more days. And like I could watch the sunset from my room, and then as soon as it was behind those trees, then
lights out. Sidhe goes to sleep.
Exactly. So yesterday on your Insta Live, there was one of your friends in community had a deck that they were like, please talk about my deck. And you were like, yes. And I was like, yes. So what is this lovely, am I gonna correct me if I say this wrong? Telesma Tarot by Tara Cochrane?
Tara Cochrane, yes.
Cochrane.
Yes. This deck is an indie deck.
Lovely.
I mean the workmanship of this deck is just beyond. Okay. Being the Earth girl, like I like luxe things. Like that's just I like nice stuff, So this magnetic closure box is everything, houses everything. Full 78 deck. It's larger than it's a large deck. So if you have small hands, it's going to be one of those side shuffle situations. But look at this gold gilded edge. Look, just the way that it just gleams. I can't. It's a collage deck, but this is the back of the deck. Like how absolutely breathtaking is this?
It's gorgeous. It's one of those decks where as a reader, when if I was using that deck for somebody else, I would have to be really careful about either being consistent in how I flip over the cards, because I do use reversals in my work, and or I would have to like let go of any of my, like even more so than we normally have to do as readers, to make sure that our own biases and things like that are not affecting our readings for other people. But with that deck, you would always know which way it's going to be, whether it's going to be upright or whether it's going to be reversed. And like, I see that and I'm like, would I want to close my eyes? Like, how do you handle that? Or do you just use that deck for yourself?
I typically, it's funny because I'll go back and forth with reversals. Right now in my practice, I don't use them. But it doesn't, Yeah, it doesn't so much bother me reading for myself or others when reversals come up. At the end of the day, the message is going to get relayed. So if it's all upright, you're still going to get knocked in the head. If you, if there are reversals, it's just, well, reversals for me, I should say, also are internal energies, whereas upright will be external. So that's how I read reversals. So anything that comes up reversed will be things that are happening internally that you're needing to focus on, work on, and do that. Upright is just, okay, this is what's happening in front of you or externally in the world. So for me, in reading it that way, it's just like, oh, so if they're all reversals, let me go hermit myself and work on me, because this has nothing to do with the outside world. This is all my stuff.
Oh, I love that.
That's my reversal way of reading. So yeah.
I love that. For me, reversals are usually about either energies that are flowing around that haven't really landed yet, or they're about self-doubt. Like when that queen is reversed, you are strong, you are powerful, believe it.
Yep.
Believe it, radiate it out.
Yep.
So it's interesting because a lot of that can absolutely tie into the self-work that you're talking about, because how do we then be able to trust that energy except by doing the self-work?
That part. Yes. And so the deck itself, there's coins. I think she uses the regular names: coins, swords, cups, and wands. But like I said, it's collage. So like this is the ace of coins. So we have like pancakes and money and buildings. And so there's this element of the tangible, the beginnings of tangibility, everything that we would think of with a pentacle suit, or a coin suit. And the beginnings of that. But I love it because there's so many things that your eye can pull to when you're reading, so it's like pancakes, especially if you're like doing something with mediumship, like why are pancakes important, and going with that to see where the story takes you. That's one thing I thought about collage decks, is it gets you out of what you've learned of tarot to be more intuitive in your reading.
One of the things that I'm getting from this particular card in this collage deck, and Arwen tossed in the chat that she knows Tara and things that the artist is just freaking amazing. When they she used to live in Austin and was a member of the tarot enthusiasts there. So that sounds awesome. Apparently there's some Austin love. I love that. But the way that the blue outline where the pancakes are and such, and then all of that red around it, it looks to me like a cell phone. Like
it does.
All of the stuff on the blue on phones, and then there's everything else. So I'm also getting this question of where is the where is your focus in a digital world, and where is your focus in the real world, or the like, because they're both real worlds. I want another word. Like I don't
the tangible world. No,
maybe it's always been one of those semantic things for me. I haven't found the right word yet, but like, if you come up with it, please share it with me.
I am going to.
I'm speaking to V, and I'm speaking to all of you out there. Like, there's a more precise word out there. Have you found in doing digital readings versus in-person readings that how the cards are seen on the screen also changes things? Because I know I've found some of that to be true, and I'm curious if you had anything similar.
Um, Not so much. It depends on the deck that I'm reading with. Because when I'm reading for others, I lay everything down in front of me and kind of suss it out and get what's coming to me, and then I'll show the cards. But depending on the deck, sometimes there'll be something that I missed visually that I'll see in the reflection back. And I'm like, oh, and then that will give me another like talking point. It's like, so looking at it straight on, I might miss it. But then in the space of me showing the cards and explaining and going through the message, something else will be like, oh, right here, this thing. And then off to the races from there. Yeah. So how about you? What is it?
Oh, so I am similar. Since you've been talking about collage decks, I'll grab Marie Bento's Lua Tarot, which is a black and white collage deck that is compiled from wood carvings that were all done in the 1800s.
Wow.
And part of the reason why I love and adore this deck is because it is also incredibly inclusive, and it is historical. And because there has been so much whitewashing in the world, I think that it is so powerful and important to be like, yeah, Black people existed in Victorian times. Like all differently sized people have existed in all times. And here are some like literal reminders of that. And so for me, what I find like because I'll lay out the cards and read them first, and I have another camera that's set up so that when people have readings with me, they can either focus on my face or focus on the cards or have a split screen. But then I'll always, be holding them up. And I find that when things are like literally just changing the perspective of where the card is in space, especially with this black and white deck, like from here, it's now this heart, this black heart with these like white bits flying out of it.
Wow.
And as it gets closer, then you can see the devil with the wings and the pipes being played and such, but that there are these different layers of perspective. And I mean, isn't that what all tarot is really about?
That's it.
About getting a different perspective. So
that card makes me want to sing Thriller. Even though I know he's on the ground, it's like he's coming from the grave. Like, even though he's already out of the ground, like all I hear is Thriller in my head.
I love that. I love that. I love this particular 10 of Swords because the person is in this shape of getting up, of unsticking, of getting that different perspective, of like the rays from the sun are there. Like the sun wants to peek out of those clouds. Like it wants to do that. It's coming. Like
slow motion, but it's
push on up.
Push
on up. And it also, because I have a yoga and a movement background, and so part of what you were talking about, and how is she so big and free and expressive? Decades of modern dance and yoga and movement classes in conservatory.
Yes.
All of which I will be bringing to an upcoming class series, moving through the majors later this month. But this 10 of Swords and a lot of cards and tarot also tie into yoga poses and ATMs. Like this one it's like it wants to be threading the needle, but it's not quite. It could It
Yes.
would get there.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not,
I see it.
not quite there yet.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
So,
I wanted to share.
yes.
Let's see. This Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is, usually about abundance, fulfillment, indulgence.
Ooh.
So this card just has so many things that kind of go along with the idea of abundance and even possibly in some ways overdoing things, depending on how far you take them.
Yeah.
But once again, there's so many elements to pull from. Like we have, this man on the horse down here. And he's just kind of like staring up at, whether it's this, the food, the woman, we don't know. But there's something about this element of freedom for him to have whatever he wants. But it's also about, but don't do too much,
I love how the woman on the pedestal or on the fountain or on the light post, like it could be so many things, has these monarch butterfly wings behind her. And it makes me think of all of the people who take up burlesque dancing as ways to get back in touch with their bodies and reclaim how marvelous their bodies are. I love that.
Yes. So yeah, this deck, the fruit, all of it. It's just, there's so many standout cards.
Show us more. Show us more.
The Chariot.
Oh,
yes.
Well, that's the first thing that I saw was a bed, and I was very confused. And then I was like, "Oh no, that's a car."
Yes.
Oh, but it's on top of a bunch of skulls and bones. Ooh.
Yes.
How does that come up in readings for you?
So for me, like with this Chariot, we're talking about willpower, determination, and movement. And 9 times out of 10, we have so many skeletons that we have to overcome in order for us to move past or move through or go for the gold. That we gotta keep going. We might have to unearth these things, pull them out, but we got to move over them because they're blocking our path otherwise. So the crab is there for its relations to Cancer, the moon being there, still very protective, still very skittish, but we're still doing the thing, still making the move happen, knowing there's a mountain in front of us, but we'll figure it out when we get there. It's just about going right now.
Oh, so. That is potent. That.
Yeah. I just feel like these are just fears that's basically the fear is what keeps us from moving or standing in our own way. But if we can overcome that and just crush all of that, we are free to go where and as far as we want. So, there's just so, let me see what else we have here.
There's a lot of Chariot energy. I am finding a lot of Chariot energy in the world right now. The fact that you pulled that card, some of my private readings recently have had Chariots in them. And then my extended days in Ireland, I literally watched Chariot.
I remember, yes,
on the beach.
Yes.
I don't know that I would have believed it if I had not watched it and witnessed it with my own eyes. And
had you not sent a picture, we all been like, yeah, are you serious?
I took video. Look at this.
The Chariot on the
beach. There is enough room at low tide to have like Chariot races if there were more than one. What was the card that you were looking for?
This one, the 5 of Cups, just stood out for me too. The card of kind of grieving. So we have this widower or widow in this space here. We have this woman. So this can actually be like grieving someone passing. She's holding this heart. And is it the Loteria, the Mexican reading cards? I think it's called Loteria.
I know what you're talking about.
And heart. So there can be emotional relationship changes or endings or conflicts, so that grief doesn't just have to be one or the other. It could be a combination of both, and it's interesting. It looks like some people either are getting married down at the bottom, or so there's a couple looks like they got married maybe.
And yeah, I do see that.
Yeah, like this loss of independence or freedom in some way, that changes emotionally when you get married. Things are different.
That
but
makes
it's like
a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just a lot of different ways of grief, so to speak.
It also, one of the things that I'm receiving, like looking at it through the frame, is it also seems like there's a feast at the bottom. Like I'm seeing bread and cheese and apples. And I don't know if that's just a trick of perspective with the distance, but it also makes me think of the feasting and the repasts that happen after any sort of death rites and funerals and celebrations of life and things like that. And also the way we can use food both in healthy and unhealthy ways to process our grief.
Yeah. Look, yes.
I can say that because three fingers pointing right back at me.
Yes. But I like that you also said that in there, and I see where you're from the vision of looking at it. It does, and you're talking about like right in here. Actually, flowers for this person here. But I like that you said that because the repast is quote unquote the celebration piece of the homegoing, right? It's the gratitude of having this person in our lives, and we're breaking bread, and we're receiving that piece of we're choosing to remember the life. The ceremony itself is just like, okay, this person is gone, they're leaving, but when we get together afterwards and we share stories, and that's when we're celebrating the life of. And that's the movement through the Five of Cups, is the gratitude. That is what shifts the perspective of paying attention to what is no longer but what did I learn? What can I take with me? How do I continue to go? So I like that you brought up the repast. Yeah.
I the grieving and the witnessing, and how do we move past all of the, like, it just fills me with such awe and gratitude to Pamela Coleman Smith for doing that first large illustration of all of the pips and changing the face of tarot as we think of it now. Because hearing what you just said, I then also got the vision of Pamela's original work and how those two cups are behind the person grieving, that there are things that are still upright and are still good and are still nourishing, that there are two people or two spirits or two energies that are with you no matter what, that have your back, that have your shoulders. And and Arwen tossed in the chat about the card that you were talking about, Lota Risa Loteria.
Oh, Loteria. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Arwen.
She's so awesome for things like that. The woman has like encyclopedic knowledge.
Please correct me. Let me know so I know. Keep me together.
Yeah, and she also echoes back what you were saying about how weddings can be a loss of individuality and such as you're moving forward, but also can mark losses of friends and family, depending on if you take it as a less than attitude.
Yes.
Glad you're loving this deck. Me too. Me too. Well, we are getting close to our time because we had said that we would do this for about an hour because you got things to head on off to, and I have a festival to go read at. And I want to make sure that there is time to plug some of your upcoming stuff because V has got some exciting things coming up, including what's going to be your final Magic of Manifestation course.
Yes.
I know that I remember yesterday from your Instagram live that there are some very sad people that this is your last one of this.
So the Magic of Manifestation, this last round will actually be our 2-year anniversary. And it is a group, I don't want to say group meet, I guess. And it's a place where people can come together and find support for manifesting, and teaching the ways of manifesting in different ways using magic, candle magic, tarot, the moon, and everything else. But just a safe space for people to come and share what is coming up for them, what are they wanting to bring into their lives, and having a collective energy to support. You can do the work by yourself and it's great, but the more energy that you have supporting you and on your side, like it moves to the universe so much faster. And just being in different groups, I found that people are afraid to speak about what they truly want. Because they're like, I don't want anybody to take it away from me. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want anybody to put any yuck on it. And so I was like, well, I'm going to create a community where this is the purpose for sharing and having support and being as open and as brazen to say, I want this type of house in this place and just be really big. Because when we are big, when we intent bigly, the universe listens. And if we have people going, yes, I want this for you, things start to happen. And so there's been so many things over the past 2 years that it's a flow, people have flown in, flown out, that they have found this confidence in themselves of creating the type of life that they want through manifesting. So all that to say is this new moon in Taurus is going to be the last round of MOM, we lovingly call it, Magic of Manifestation. It's a full month long. So we start on the new moon. There are 3 live calls. There's a new moon, a quarter moon, and a full moon, where we get together, we talk, we, exchange information. We have a workbook that we work through. And there's a Discord chat where there's an alignment accountability, where you can put down one thing that you've done toward the goal that you are going after. We support one another. We drop memes. It's like a family at this point, literally. So
that one step. Like,
yes.
I did this today.
Exactly.
Like just that one thing. Like but that one thing, and then having it mirrored back and having people be like, yes! Even if it was just a follow-up email, like, yes, you did something. Like,
yes. And having people just live out their manifestation as though it has already happened. And then people commenting like, oh my, like I just got my brand new house, and people commenting like, when's the housewarming? What wine can I bring? So really just fueling the manifestation, giving it energy, So with that being said, it is open for enrollment, I guess, and you can go to www.ko-fi/divine joy, DIVINEJOY, and you can join from there. And it is $25 for the whole cycle.
And it, just to clarify, it's Ko-fi.com.
There we go. Yes.
/divine joy. Yes.
Yes.
Cool. And even though it spells like coffee, It is not actually coffee, although V may take that money and buy some really good coffee for herself, but it is KO-FI.
Yes.
Awesome. And I love that. I love that. And I love that. I love that. I would be remiss if I did not plug my own things too.
You have to. I want to know.
I do.
Yes.
Sure, some people will do it for you, but you got to do it first for anybody else to be able to share that. People who are familiar with this channel and are a part of grouptarot.com and my mailing list already know this, but there will not be a new moon group tarot session on April 30th because I will be reading at Beltane Southwest, and there is no Wi-Fi out in the southern hills of New Mexico, nor is there even really very good cell phone coverage, because initially I had hoped to do the new moon group tarot reading from the festival, because how awesome would that have been? But I will apparently be doing other festival things, and I trust that you will be doing other new moon things. But I do have an upcoming class which is called Moving Through the Majors, and it is an exploration of the major arcana through the body. And it is for all bodies, all abilities, all sizes. Sure, I might be in the back doing some really big things, but that does not have to be your way, because the work is to start with the major arcana and take that pose and see how it feels in your body, and then allow that to breathe and allow that to move and allow that to find gestures and counterpoints, and to start learning and feeling the major arcana in your body, however that actually manifests. And you can sign up for that at tinyurl.com/moving through the majors. It's also on Group Tarot's group classes page, but it's a lot easier to say and share tinyurl.com/moving through the majors. And I have an early bird special until May 1st, where you can get the whole series of 12 classes for $100. And that includes video access. So if you are not available at 1 o'clock Pacific on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, you can watch the video and do the work and the exploration in your own time. And especially for those of you who are deaf or hard of hearing, the video is the only option for captioning purposes, because unfortunately I'm not able to have live ASL for this one, which makes me a little sad. I'm sorry, friends. But so consequently, email kate@grouptarot.com and I will give you a different friends and family rate, since the accessibility is not there for y'all. Well, as we complete, V, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
I really love tarot, and I'm so happy to be here in front of a new audience to chat with Kate. Yeah, I'm V, the Tarot BFF. I read cards, straight shot, no chaser. So sitting down and talking to a best friend. I give you the real, and I tell you things that you may not want to hear, but things that you need to hear in order to shift some things for you to get out of your own way and create the life that you want. So that's all I got.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me, V. You're welcome. And I was remiss and did not do this at the beginning, but I am also super grateful and appreciative for the Diné, Jicarilla, Apache, and Pueblo lands that I am Zooming with y'all through, and the fact that I have access and that V has access and that y'all who are watching have access to this digital technology, which is not available to everyone. And the indigenous folks in the US on Turtle Island are the ones who have the least access, which sucks. And it is something that we can all actively work to change, especially with some of the legislation that is coming through Congress right now. The personal is political. Do what you can, friends. And that is our time. So much love to you, me.
Thank you.